Back live with you tonight and in focus. Thanks for staying on. ActionSA has decided to part ways with its Gauteng secretary, Abel, who is also the Tshwane councillor and MMC for Human Settlements. The party says alleged misconduct by Dau has brought it into disrepute. Dau has been on suspension since last month following allegations of attempted rape leveled against him by the wife of a friend. Panel set up by the party and chaired by Senate member Advocate Gill Benson heard evidence from a number of witnesses in the matter, but determined that the charges relating to alleged criminal conduct would be more appropriately dealt with in the courts. In a statement, the Senate revealed that it specifically looked at the conduct of Dau and concluded that it was inconsistent with the party's value of ethical leadership. Joining us now to explain the party's decision is ActionSA Gauteng provincial chairperson Bongani Baloyi. Good evening, sir, and thank you very much for your time. Good to have you with us. According to what we are hearing this evening, my colleague Kathy Mutlatlana is speaking to the expelled secretary of the party, is that you guys are shifting the goalpost after having established that there is, of course, no charge that you can bring forward as far as the rape is concerned. You shifted the goalpost and you said now we are going to test this member on conduct. That was not what you were testing initially.
That's not correct, and good evening. Look, there were 6 charges, and 5 of them related to bringing the party into disrepute and quoting various parts of our constitution. And the 6th charge related to the criminal matter, which is currently before the courts, which we did not test at all because that's a subject for the sole preserve of the court. So we looked at the conduct. And remember, we are a voluntary organization with our own standards of and set of standards of behavior and what we also expect of public representatives. And that's what we tested the allegations against.
So what is the description then of the violation?
It's to bring the party into disrepute.
In what way? I mean, from what I heard earlier on, the chairperson saying using your power or abuse of power for your own sexual pleasures, or something to that effect. And would you say then that is directly linked to what you're saying is the criminal matter which you did not test?
Look, we did not test the part that the NK is going to do. But you can't say that the alleged behavior and conduct does not bring the party into disrepute, insofar as that you are a senior member in the party, occupy a senior position in the party, and also in government. And the person whom is alleged is someone who also works within your department as well. And there's those dynamics. But equally, we must also be alive to the fact that we have to follow a due process. Over and above that, we must also bring ourselves to the reality faced by many South Africans who are subject to gender-based violence. And we as a party need to ensure that we set an example around the type of behavior which is acceptable when you're a public representative, but equally a leader who has power and also within a very important leadership position in government and in the party.
Yeah. Is that one of the issues then also that is being challenged, is to say you have decided to set some kind of standard by punishing the said individual harshly, and it's unfair to take that kind of approach?
I don't think that would be the case, because a process, which is a DC, was heard, and there were various charges made, and there were various allegations made, and some were not even challenged there. And during the process, there was also some problems that we confronted as a party through the DC, and that's contained in our report, which we revealed a certain type of behavior that's consistent that we're not comfortable with, and we believe as a party it's not the type of behavior that's consistent with our standards and norms and values. And that's important that from that perspective we take a decision, because that part speaks to the ethical leadership, speaks to the type of leadership benchmark or standard we want to lay as ActionSA.
Yeah. What actions is that? It's being reported that the member, while he was on suspension, went back to the office and wanted some documents for what he said was studying, and then went on to instruct staff to transport his guests or something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing, I don't have the full details, but it is something like that. Is that the conduct you're referring to?
Look, that conduct at this stage is alleged. that conduct allegedly transpired after a charge sheet had been prepared and sent. So we could not ventilate any of those charges. It would have warranted for another disciplinary hearing to have been set down. But in this case, it would not be necessary. But obviously, those allegations are allegations, but possibly some people can read into it. But we have not ventilated them and cannot make an opinion at this stage about them.
Are you prepared then to challenge or at least to defend your decision in court, as the member has expressed that he's been given legal advice to certainly take this to the courts to challenge this expulsion?
Well, I think that as a party, we'll definitely defend our decision in court because we believe it's the right decision to have made as a party. And I don't think we'll shy away from the responsibility.
What does this mean then in terms of the vacuum that has been created, particularly in the city of Tshwane?
Look, it means that the party, myself and the head of governance will be making a presentation to our Senate sitting tomorrow on making a proposal about how to approach filling the vacancy and also filling the vacancy in the caucus, and secondly, filling the vacancy in the mayoral committee. And that's the proposal we'll be making to Senate tomorrow for approval. So that's the approach we're going to follow to ensure that somebody from the party could be deployed in that position to continue the work that was happening there and to bring some stability and reliability of service delivery to the residents in that portfolio.
Yeah. And in the meantime, is the portfolio left idle, or is there someone who is acting in that portfolio at the moment?
Well, there is an acting MMC, which is MMC Leroux, a colleague of the former MMC, who has been acting in the absence of Mr. Dow.
Overall, I mean, does this set a new, I suppose, precedence in the party as far as these matters of sexual conduct are concerned in how you plan, I suppose, to monitor these and hold the various office bearers and other individual members accountable?
Look, I think as public office bearers and as leaders broadly, we need to take cognizance of the fact that when you occupy these positions of leadership, we don't do so for our own initiative, but on behalf of people. And they expect us to behave a particular way when we exercise judgment. And that's also in how you manage yourself as an individual, because you're no longer just Bongani Baloyi only. You are Bongani Baloyi, chairperson of ActionSA, and your actions in private will have a bearing in the party and the image of the party, and certainly your image. So I think it's important for all of us to have a presence of mind at all times to ensure that as leaders we are alive to the risk that we may face and the consequences of our actions. And once you've crossed that mark, it's incumbent for any political party to follow a due process and take the necessary steps as needed. And in paying recognition to the type of society we have today and the challenges, and more so for gender-based violence. I mean, you read newspapers every day, weekend, there's stories about gruesome matters of women, feminicide, women being assaulted, and all various nasty things. So it's important for us to ensure that we start ensuring that there's no space for this, at least in our leadership ranks. And when it raises head, we need to do something about it to assure society that when we say we are an alternative government, we're ready to lead this government in the country, we must firstly display by what we do in our own organization. And I think this has been that moment. We don't take lightly what has happened, and we've also followed due process, but we believe this is the right course of action that we have taken as a party to confirm and reaffirm our commitment to South Africans.
ActionSA Gauteng provincial chairperson Bongani Baloyi, I appreciate your time and thank you very much for joining us tonight here on In Focus.